watching another American influencer this evening. Paul in the Philippines. It's okay, it's just another piece of shit. Pay it no mind. Anyway, Paul in the Philippines, who is a blogger that I have occasionally watched. I haven't watched him on, like, you know, a regular basis, but I have sometimes watched him. And I can say that for the most part I am a fan of his content. I've had many of you ask me why I simply do not get on a plane and whoosh, fly back to America, which I intend to do eventually. But nevertheless, you ask me these questions, and I know you're only asking this as a rhetorical question. You don't really want to hear the answer why I haven't simply gotten on the plane and flown back to my hometown. A lot of Filipinos have asked me that question. Well, firstly, they don't even let Filipinos enter the country without a visa or a sponsor. They can't even leave their own country without a sponsor, let alone enter ours. But those of you who are asking this question, this very rhetorical and one-sided question, you have clearly never been here, not for any substantial period of time, at any rate. Now, I'm not talking about a few of you weekend warriors who have come over here for a few months, 6 months, or even 1 year. Give me a break. Come on. Only long-term expats will understand this.
9 years in the Philippines, and I'll be straight with you. I can't go back home to America. Not won't, can't. And I think there's a lot of long-term expats over here in the same situation. But none of us, including myself, have ever addressed this before. And that's what's coming up in the video. True story.
Every long-term expat will tell you this exact same thing. They assume that they're only going to stay here for 1 year. They assume that at the most, even if they have all their ducks in a row, they will be here for 3 years until they finish the maximum amount that they can stay on one visa run. So they might assume at most they'll be here for 3 years. They'll come to the Philippines for a year, maybe a few years at the most, and then they'll just zip back to America or Australia, Canada, or Europe, or whatever Asian country they might be from. They make a fairly big assumption when they do this. Again, I'm not addressing the weekend warriors, the ones who come here for a few weeks to maybe a few months out of the year. You guys can get out of here. And if you've never even been to the Philippines, you have no idea what I'm talking about. So you make your move, You assume that your long-term stay will be like the honeymoon period you enjoyed before, and that you will have enough money and that the culture will be great and everything will be wonderful with the locals, and that you just have to be smart and you won't have any problems with the corruption that everybody tells you about. And of course, you'll love that warm climate all year long. I mean, what could go wrong, right? Just takes a little bit of street smarts and a little bit of wisdom and a little bit of good judgment. And hey, you can stay here for the rest of your life, no problem. And then you stay here and then you stay here until you can't anymore. First, you just plan to stay here for a couple of weeks. And then you say, I might as well make it 30 days. And then you're in that honeymoon period and you say, wow, I love it here. It's wonderful. I'm going to stay. And then your 30 days turns into 1 year. Then your 1 year becomes 3 years. Your 3 years becomes 5 years. Then your 5 years turns into 8 years and 9 years that you've been here. Then you realize that you don't have anything left back home anymore. Your relatives have died. You don't have a vehicle anymore. You have no employer. Although fortunately for Paul, he has Social Security. Not only Social Security, he has the full amount of Social Security. And he has social media profits. I have neither. Paul even still has Medicare Part B. What a blessing. So that means that in his case, when he gets home, all he has to do is walk into a clinic and get immediate medical care right on arrival. No papers, no applications, no waiting, no emergency rooms, no indigent health clinics, just straight to the doctor's office and the lab and the outpatient hospital.
Really just to kind of put my toe in the water and see if I liked it. And before I knew it, 1 year had gone by. And seemingly overnight, that 1 year turned into 3 years. And it was something that just sort of evolved, you know? And then one day, without any big announcement to myself, I realized the fact that I had burned the boat, the one that I had floated over here on. It was gone, it was sunk, and it was not to be ridden back to America like it was ridden over here to the Philippines. The financial aspect is one of the major drivers for me.
Now I made some inquiries. I could potentially qualify for some government benefits of my own if I do return, but I don't even know how to apply for it. And I will tell you, it's a lot more expensive to see a doctor back home than it is here. However, there are more benefit options back home than there are here, especially for American citizens. He definitely has no employer back home. Do any of us when we've been here this long? Oh, some of us have some remote work. Some of us might have some online employers that we can work for. some of us might be able to get through sheer luck and determination, remote work from a company that we once knew before. But the vast majority of expats are probably living on some form of passive income, whether they're renting properties out or whether they've invested in stocks. And you have to have kind of a lot invested if you're going to be just living off of it. I've heard some guys live off of crypto, but I personally think cryptocurrency is a scam, and the only way you can keep it going is to convince others to buy more. Sound familiar? And even if I did manage to somehow qualify for government benefits when I get home, it would only be like the bare minimum. At my age, I would not qualify for Social Security. The only thing I could file for is disability. Aside from the fact that that is not always an easy thing to get or obtain, and that it is a time-consuming process, which we all know. And if you don't, then you have no idea what I'm talking about and should probably go color with some crayons. But if you do know, you will know that filing for disability is a huge hassle, a medical and legal hassle. Doesn't matter how sick you are, it's a huge hassle. And your passive income is probably not going to be enough to live in America nowadays, especially if you've been here for a decade. You have no idea how much prices have gone up in the last 10 years. So your only other option is to try to find an employer when you get home, once again. Not a part-time online job where you make a little bit of money here and a little bit of money there, or making like what, 50 bucks a month from being an influencer from ad revenue. No, you're gonna have to find a real job again. And after 10 years, or even a shorter period of time, like 5 years, there's a good chance that not very many people back home even remember who you are. So if you're living on Social Security, or if you're too young and you're living on even less, like disability or some kind of meager online job or passive income, you're going to find that reintegrating back into the US is not going to be so easy, especially if you're sick or injured. And hopefully you have a friend or a relative who will let you stay at their place long enough for you to put in some job applications. Because if you don't, your next stop is going to be the local homeless shelter. Not to mention the cost of booking a trans-Pacific flight in the middle of a war and energy crisis.
Well, anyway, I don't think that I'd be getting hired for a job, and I'm not sure anybody would rent me an apartment. And if they did, I don't think it would work out anyway, especially the apartment. I did some research, and I found on the World Wide Web out there that we all love to look at, is that the average city, the average apartment, the average rent in the average city, not Beverly Hills, not Manhattan, is $1,400 to $1,600 per month just for the apartment. Now, let's call it $1,500. That takes, we'll split the difference. That takes a pretty big bite out of that $2,233, doesn't it?
Thankfully, I do still have some family left, although my family is getting smaller as the years go on. I've even lost some relatives whilst I was over here. I mean, technically, I could spend the rest of my lifetime over here if I wanted, with the kind of routine I'm set up in, but I'm not sure that it's the best choice for my future. See, I don't earn money making videos. Not like Paul does. Not like Gio does. Not like any of these other influencers do. I don't make money making videos, and I don't want to make money making videos. I don't want to do this for a living. My God. But that is why so many influencers really like it here. All they'll tell you is the food, it's the culture, it's the climate, it's the prices. No, I'm telling you, the real reason they like it here is because they are making money off of their videos by being here. I will probably still vlog when I go home, though it will be a different kind of vlog. This is my journal, not my vlog. They like it, and they promote it, because every promotion that they do earns them money. Especially if they attract a high number of followers and a high number of views. They earn ad revenue, and some of their viewers even donate to them. I see this more as a community than a financial opportunity anyway. Let's face it, most of you guys cannot now, nor will you ever be able to go back home. Because if you did, you would be living under a bridge. And that's why my videos piss you off. The vloggers like it because they earn money here. And of course, because it's not impossible to find a woman. This has got me thinking pretty thoroughly myself. See, it's not going to be easy for me to repatriate myself either. It's been 5 years since I've been back home. And in that 5 years, some things have already changed. A lot of things have changed, actually. But, once again, I'm not entirely certain that spending the rest of my lifetime here is what's best for my future. One serious health problem, or legal problem, and that'll be it. That'll be all she wrote for me. If I'm here, if I'm stuck here, and I know it, I'll be a goner. And I'm not exactly sure it's best for my daughter's future either. So I kind of need to make arrangements so that she can one day go to America as well. Even me, at my age, I'm going to find it quite difficult to repatriate myself. It's not going to be easy to reestablish my life back home. It's going to take a lot of time and effort, and it's going to take some money. even me, I'm not sure that I have enough to accomplish it. At least not right out of the gate, not right when I arrive. But to you guys, once again, let's be real about it. Why do you love the Philippines so much? Because you can't go home. That's why. Most of you anyway. It's like Paul was saying. You can't go home anymore. This is your final journey.